What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, it looks like Nintendo has once again found themselves under fire for controversy that has actually been following them for quite a while. It's something they've been known to do for a bit now, and in fact, it's something we've been seeing more and more in the gaming industry as of late, and we're going to go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Amazon Prime Day as it is now live, but some gaming deals actually went up a bit early that we could take a look at, and we'll also be going over what looks to be our first look at the new Bioshock game that is currently in development and has people very, very excited. So if you guys enjoy this video, make sure you hit that like button, helps it a ton. And if new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And of course, members of the channel do get Newswave early. If you'd like to learn more about that, click the join button down below this video. And we're gonna start today with CyberConnect 2 and Dot Hack. Now, the Dot Hack series, of course, goes all the way back to the PS2 days, and it's a franchise that I look back on with nostalgia, specifically for the first four, that I would like to see some sort of remaster of those, like a collection, because we had the GU collection. Why not a collection of the original games? But either way, there was actually an interesting interview that we can see here. This is over on Noisy Pixel. This is at Anime Expo 2024, where they had the opportunity to sit down with CyberConnect 2's executive vice president, Taichiro Miyazaki. And when asked if they're going to see more Dot Hack games in the future, responded saying, within CyberConnect 2, the topic of a new Dot Hack is constantly in the background. However, we need the cooperation of Bandai Namco, the publisher. We have ideas, and if we get the okay, we would love to move forward. Again, this is all up to Bandai Namco, and essentially what is being said here by CyberConnect 2 is, you got to let them know you want a Dot Hack game. And again, my biggest thing is, at the very least, do a remaster collection of those first four and maybe kind of judge or take the temperature with those, like kind of judge the market and see how that responds to those, because those are classic titles that right now, while you can of course just emulate them, are very, very expensive on the secondhand market. So just to make it easier, more accessible for people to pick up and try out the Dot Hack series, I think that's a good way forward. But also, yeah, go ahead and let Bandai Namco know that you would like to see a new game in the series, of course, if you actually want that. Also, we did have those GameCube achievements go live over on RetroAchievements, where you can tie Dolph into their website, and all of a sudden, all these classic GameCube games that maybe you've played multiple times will now have achievements popping as you play through the game and, of course, accomplish certain tasks. Well, it seems like they got flooded with so much traffic that they had some issues. We can see this post up over on their official account, where they say the servers are on fire, everything is okay, Grandma will be by shortly to fix it, the hype is real. And this pretty much got posted up, I mean, within the hour after achievements started going live, people logging in, of course, to call to the server and unlock achievements. There were a lot of issues happening at that time where achievements weren't popping, their website just had crashed completely. And I mean, I think it's awesome to see that just the GameCube hype is still out there, it's still real, but it also shows that, yeah, achievements are very exciting for a lot of people, and just with these retro systems, and think about when they add Wii, that would be a pretty big one. Maybe someday, because we're already emulating Switch, I get it, but we look back on this Switch as a legacy system years and years and years from now, and they add achievements to them. That seems like that'd be a really popular system with that library right now of titles. That would probably do a number on their website as well, but who knows, maybe by then Nintendo will have a system that already has achievements. We'll see about that one, but yeah, it looks like GameCube, still a lot of interest there to see achievements go into those games. Oh, and we did get the dates for the beta for Call of Duty, as there will be 2 for Black Ops 6. In fact, Microsoft posted up this card here, and that has the open beta date here, that's September 6th to the 9th. However, they also have this early access period from August 30th to September 4th, and you can do the early access period, it seems, for pre-orders and Game Pass subscribers. We kind of figured they would do this, where they would link it to Game Pass, as of course the game itself is, but just another benefit there, obviously, as they're trying to push subscriptions to maybe get those signups a bit sooner, rather than have to wait until the release date for Black Ops 6. And of course, I will be checking out the beta for this one. Just the Black Ops name is enough to get people excited, but I am genuinely curious to see how much different it feels maybe from Modern Warfare 3, which of course is about to be a year old here, coming up towards the end of this year, and we're expecting it to go into Game Pass here really any time now. So exciting stuff there, of course, for Call of Duty fans, and with that beta right around the corner. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with a new report report that released over the weekend, and I was looking into it throughout Saturday and Sunday just to get a bit more information and some context for this, but it has to do, of course, with Nintendo and them not necessarily crediting people at the end of the game when you get through it and you look through all the credits, just names missing, and that usually has to do with like QA, localization, and also seemingly original teams, as that was a whole thing for Metroid Prime Remastered. But we have seen it when Nintendo works with different companies, because they like to do that a lot where they'll contract out, like Mercury Steam. That was a whole thing with Metroid Dread, some of the stuff that was going on at that studio and their stipulations and minimum requirements for just getting into the credits for a game. So even if you had worked on it, if you didn't meet some minimum threshold of the amount of the game you worked on, your name wasn't there. Is very strange stuff to see that one unfold. But with this new report, we can see this is posted up. This is over on GameDeveloper.com, and they cite multiple big name games like Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Animal Crossing, to name a few there, obviously some big time sellers, saying multiple sources who chose to remain anonymous for fear of reprisal, which, yeah, in a business like this where you have to know people to get in certain yeah, it makes sense you'd want to stay anonymous. They said they have told Game Developer how Nintendo repeatedly failed to credit them for their work on a litany of critically acclaimed titles, despite them spending months translating each project for audiences around the world. One source who previously worked at Nintendo before becoming a freelance translator said they were always credited as an in-house employee, but noticed that wasn't necessarily the case in other departments. I also noticed that a company known as Localsoft, they were referenced multiple times in this report as an external localization company that seemed to handle a lot of different translations and localizations for Nintendo. But they go on to say, when working on Nintendo titles as an external translator, they were asked to sign non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, with a standard duration of 10 years, prohibiting them from discussing or promoting their work. Game Developer has viewed an email that confirms Nintendo used a decade-long NDA on multiple projects. To me, this is really weird stuff, right? To be this serious about who gets in to the credit reel at the end, that, let's face it, 95% of the people just skip, or you hold a button to fast forward it. This, for really, if you look at it, is a bigger deal for the person who has spent this entire time translating, localizing, just working on the game in general, and have their name there so then they can go to their next project or the next job position and say, look what I did. I worked on Metroid Prime Remastered. I worked on environments, so I would be a great fit for this next project, this next game. And that's usually how it works, right? You build a portfolio, you build a resume, and that way you can kind of work your way up the ladder just in the industry. But when you have things like 10-year NDAs to where you can't put it on your resume, you can't discuss it at a job interview, that's just weird. And I think that's the thing people are trying to figure out now is why. And it's hard to say. I will tell you this. As I was going around looking into this a bit more, there were multiple threads on places like Reddit or different forums saying that they've gone through this or seen this happen before in not just gaming, but other industries when it comes to work for contract positions where you'll have NDAs even around you just being involved with different projects. Again, the whole thing seems strange because at the end of the day, it's a credit reel that can be as long as it needs to be. There are times you go to the movies and the credits take like 10 minutes or something, and it's just the whole time it's just pages and pages of names that worked on the movie. So it's odd because then you also see the special thanks section where they don't even define what people did. It's just names there as special thanks, and it's like, to have someone in there who maybe you got an epiphany while talking to them about some random thing, put them in special thanks, but then not credit someone who worked for months to localize to a different language for region release. It is very odd. But again, Nintendo's gone through this multiple times, and the industry as a whole has gone through this multiple times. This seems to be an industry-wide thing, while this report is, of course, focused around Nintendo, but an industry-wide thing that I feel like needs to be resolved and figured out, because you have 10-year NDAs getting thrown around and people being left out of credits. That is not good for the health of the industry in the long term. Next up, let's talk about Amazon Prime Day sales. Prime Day should be live by the time you're seeing this video or around that time, and typically Amazon uses it, of course, as ways to promote products that have probably been sitting in their warehouse for a while, and they just steep discount them and get them out the door and then to your front door. Well, I did notice that there were some deals already going live on the build up to the recording for this video. I thought I'd go over a few of them here, but keep in mind, there are probably many other deals that are now live that are pretty good discounts, but we'll start here from the top. And I'll just kind of flash them up on screen as I go through them. Sonic Superstars is around $20. Depends on the platform. It's a little more expensive on the Switch, less so on like the PS5. Then we have Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, that's $20. Mario RPG, I did notice there were a few first-party Nintendo titles that were like 20 or 30% off. It's pretty good time to pick those up again physically here at $40. Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, that just recently came out, $40 on that one. Kingdom Come Deliverance Royal Edition, that's on the Switch, $33. Turned out to be a pretty good port overall. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is down to $35. That is a really, really good pickup for an awesome title. Highly recommend that one. Same with Unicorn Overlord. That's down to $35. Sonic Frontiers at $20. While you're looking around today, while I know people are going to look at like different appliances, I guess, or expensive pieces of hardware, keep in mind, just storage right now should be cheap, whether it's micro SD cards or SSDs, NVMe's, whatever. Just take a look around, because like the 512 gigabyte SanDisk micro SD card that would work, say, in your Switch or your Steam Deck is $39. That is an awesome deal to stock up on some larger memory cards there. You also have the MetaQuest 3 I saw was 10% off. Not like a crazy discount, but it is technically $50 off then. It like was $450. And if you saw in the news that Microsoft is now streaming to Fire Sticks, the Fire Stick 4K Max is now down to $35. So I guess if you pair that with an Xbox controller, you'll have an experience. I mean, it should work somewhat. It's still going to be streaming. It might have some latency, some blockiness, but yes, it would technically work. So $35 and then like a $40 or $50 controller tacked on, you can get your foot in the door for $80 to $90, I guess, that way. But again, take a look around as Amazon Prime Day is ongoing for today and then some of tomorrow. See what you can pick up. And of course, leave some suggestions down below in the comments, because by the time we come back for Newswave tomorrow, most of the deals will probably have run their course. Next up, let's talk about an image that's now leaked out, seemingly for the new Bioshock game that we heard about years ago, and we've been sort of waiting to see this thing. Many times we'll be coming up to like Summer Game Fest or the Xbox show or any big event, and we're like, maybe this is where Bioshock shows up. Well, now we at least have some sort of look at it. It's one screenshot, which we'll talk about a bit more here, but we can see this is posted up. This is over on MP First. I can't show you the image because, well, it's 2K and it's Take-Two, and we've been over this multiple times with Take-Two. They do not mess around, but they say they've managed to get their hands on an in-development Bioshock 4 screenshot that features the UI and even a weapon. The image is from an early demo build of the game, featuring a 2021 showcase reel. So as I mentioned, it's been years now since we had heard about this. I mean, this was like 2019 as they outline here with the Parkside code name. This was referenced by Bloomberg's Jason Schreier and was corroborated by Colin Moriarty over with Last Stand Media in 2021. So the only thing with this is if the image, as they are mentioning here and outlining from 2021, a showcase reel, it's probably going to look a lot different. Well, very different, we'll say, when it comes out, as a lot of times showcase reel is like early alpha and they just dress it up enough to have it in like a quick cut, as they say, showcase reel to at least show what they're working on there and what plans are going forward internally. So while they have a UI there, they also have, it looks like a shotgun. I feel like the UI will probably be changed around somewhat. We see UI change constantly. Even at times, from what's shown to us with an initial reveal for a game to the end product, things will move around just in focus group testing. They'll find what works and what doesn't. But this is still really exciting to be talking about a new Bioshock game again, because it's been a while. Bioshock Infinite was the last time I remember really talking about Bioshock at all. And I'm looking forward to something maybe that goes back more to their roots, because to me, Bioshock 1 is still the best Bioshock. And yes, some of that has to do with its impact at the time in gaming, which was just this complete new experience. And part of that was going into the Xbox 360 generation, coming off the PS2, the Xbox, and the GameCube, and things being more narrative driven, of course, better visuals and stuff. But that was just such a unique first person action adventure shooter game that it's still something I look back on now as just being one of the best games I've ever experienced. So if they could try to replicate something like that, they'll never capture that same exact feeling, but just replicate something like that again and maybe get away from what they were doing with Bioshock Infinite, I'd be all in on that. And based on this one image, which I know, showcase reel, did give me some vibes of the first Bioshock. So that's my hope right now, and maybe we'll see it next year. Who knows, maybe at the Game Awards end of this year. That seems like another good spot because it has been in development for years now. Seems like they'd want to get to a point where they're able to show it here pretty soon. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a rumor that started to spread yesterday that has to do with Halo and 343, which has all kind of just blended into the background at this time. No one really talks about Halo Infinite anymore. No one really talks about 343 anymore. There was a lot of spotlight on that studio and Halo Infinite earlier this year and at the end of last year, but ever since then, it's been pretty quiet. They've just been kind of going really what seems like just through the motions just to keep Halo Infinite rolling, and now they seemingly have moved on to a new game, but based on a new report that we can see here, this was from WCCF Tech, and they're referencing Bathrobe Spartan, okay, which says, Microsoft is no longer confident in 343 Industries' internal development. Future entries in the series will be developed by other studios, with the series developer focusing only on the concept and pre-production phases and supervising development. Well, all right, so I'm looking at this, and as soon as I'm reading through this, I go, well, that doesn't sound correct at all from what I've been hearing. And Jez Corden also came out seemingly on Twitter X recently after this started to make the rounds, saying that yeah, it's not correct at all. To my understanding, 343 is indeed working on the next Halo game. Now, they did mention here as a follow-up, Bathrobe Spartan, that there were two projects currently in like pre-production phases or something, and again, from what I understand, 343 is basically moving on now to the next Halo game. They already have moved on, and they are working to get that set up. And the biggest question for me is, do they stick with Slipspace? Do they go to Unreal? That's apparently something that's been kicked around in the background for quite a while now. But I think they need to get Halo back on track. And no, I don't think 343 is all of a sudden going to go to like become a supervisor mostly, and they're just going to hand it off to other studios. 343 exists at its size, which it still has many employees there to just be supervising stuff. They exist to make Halo. If Halo stopped existing, they would stop existing. If they stopped existing, Halo would probably then just go on the back burner for a while. So no, the 343 is, I guess, better or worse, going to keep hitting their head against the wall until they break through with something again for Halo. And maybe that is something they're planning out at this time for the next generation Xbox, because we keep hearing that it's set for release holiday 2026 or maybe sometime in 2027. Seems like maybe the path for them is to start targeting that new hardware and get something figured out for Halo, even if that means a complete reboot for the franchise, because yeah, they've done a lot of damage to it at this time, so why not clean slate the thing and see what you can do with a fresh start. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, are you going to play Call of Duty Black Ops 6 this year? 71% say no, I'm not interested. There you go. 21% does say they're going to play it on Game Pass, which is expected if you have Game Pass and it just gets added in. You're probably just going to download it, just see what it's about there this year. And then 9% say yes, I'll buy it when it comes out. Okay, so not bad. Roughly 29-30% say they will be playing it, and I will check it out in the beta just again to see how much different it feels from Modern Warfare 3, and then I'll be curious to see what Warzone updates happen from Black Ops 6, because I'm sure there are some big-time plans for what is a very popular mode, or just game in general, for Microsoft and Activision at this time, but it does make it a little easier, I'll say that it's going into Game Pass for the campaign around Black Ops 6. Just download it and try it out. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Lob, who says, you probably mainly just play as Link at the beginning. Maybe you can later summon him too. Yeah, that would actually be a fun way kind of to end the game, as like the big climactic scene is where Princess Zelda summons Link, and then you fight alongside of each other to defeat Ganon or whatever the big final boss is or something. I think that would be an awesome path for it. And then maybe after you beat the game, you can just summon Link constantly in the post game or something after credits roll. You can go around Hyrule and just have Link there by your side, maybe for complete puzzles or open pathways that you weren't able to during the main game, and there's all kinds of extra dungeons after you beat the game itself. A lot of cool things they could do there, but I think at least for now, I'm going to assume that you play as Link at the beginning of the game for maybe 20 or 30 minutes, and they hand the rest of it off to Princess Zelda. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Well, there's a situation around Nintendo and really just the industry in general when it comes to crediting people in a game. Let me know if that's something you've experienced actually in your line of work. And then also, what about Amazon Prime sales that are currently ongoing? Again, leave some suggestions down below in the comments. And a new Bioshock game. What would you like to see from the franchise for the 4th entry? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.